Hogwarts is magical in every sense of the word. Mundane aspects of everyday life are replaced with fantastical elements of potions, magical beasts, and broom flying. Even the darker parts of its setting provide so much intrigue. Most importantly, Hogwarts and the wizarding world of Harry Potter are meant to be escapes from the ordinary. The setting is established to be one detached from the normal Muggle world and its restrictions. Harry Potter is the series that people have compared Little Witch to the most, and while that comparison can certainly be justified, a fundamental difference between them is that Little Witch is actively killing that magical awe you would experience in a setting like this. Let me explain. I mentioned in the last part that as early as episode 1, students of Lunanova are shown to be cynical towards their own school, and the professors are constantly worried about the academy's financial situation. Where this all comes to a head, however, is in episode 5. Here, we not only learn of a supposed debt that Lunanova owes to an ancient dragon, but also that they have lost so much income over the years that the dragon took the Sorcerer's Stone as collateral. Now, Diana does expose the fake debt because she's best girl, but debt? Income? Collateral? Are these things that a magical academy deals with? Little Witch? Apparently so. And this is because the show is not afraid to portray Lunanova as just another business, and a struggling one at that. In a video by Lava Pasta, that I'll be linking below, you can see that the show is a metaphor for artistry, and Lunanova itself can be compared to an art school. And I'm pretty sure that there are a bunch of art schools that go through similar financial struggles. Episode 5 marks a tone shift in the series as more and more bleak elements of its setting are introduced, with the episode that directly follows showing Lunanova having to keep up good relationship with the Houndbridge family even though they do not care for magic and see it as no more than a dying craft. Even the guest judges of the Samhain Festival, who are witches acclaimed for their contributions to the world of magic, comment on the stagnation of Lunanova and the decline of magic all over the world. As you can tell, Lunanova isn't exactly framed as a place where dreams come true or anything like that. But this really does come from grounding the school and making its struggles and the people in it a lot more relatable to what we deal with in the real world. And this doesn't stop at the school, because magic itself is given its own restrictions. Witches draw it from the output of the Sorcerer's Stone and are only able to access it from a certain range. A simple rule, yet it provides a level of depth to magic that our characters have to work around. And to bring it back a bit, I really appreciate that in episode 7, details such as magic licenses and the list of practicing Lunanova alumni establish magic as an active profession around the world. The limitations of magic are expanded upon in the show and becomes a major focus in its later half. Where these limits start to be addressed is in episode 14, probably one of my favorites and also a pretty depressing episode once you understand what it represents. Here we learn that the stone emits a finite amount of magic, and 90% of that is used by the witches, and the other 10% by the fairies that do the manual labor in the academy. These fairies go on strike, demanding an increase in the share of magic. Now, while this premise is introduced as kind of a joke, and actually has some pretty hilarious moments, bringing in the concept of underpaid, low-level workers is not something the show takes lightly. After all, anyone who's aware of the horrible working conditions and actual deaths that has come about from the anime industry can understand why the show would want to address this. Many things have been said over the years about the state of the industry in a bunch of other shows and articles, but some of Ako's lines in this episode perfectly encapsulate my feelings towards these issues. She states that she would not want the pursuit of her own dreams to be a burden on others. Even as a longtime anime fan, every time I see an article of an animator dying or having to work in terrible working conditions in the process of getting a product made, no matter how good that product was, it will never be worth the price of someone's well-being. And the fact that these animators are still underpaid even after all this is pretty heartbreaking. Little Witch started out as an OVA from the Young Animators Training Project, and the director Yoshinari stated that Ako's character is supposed to reflect the life of an aspiring animator. So it makes sense that with a full TV series, they'd want to expand on the issues in being one. Heck, episode 16 is essentially a parody of a relationship between an animator and production assistants, where Ako is hounding a Yeti to make a medicine capsule while constantly telling him to redo because it has slight mistakes. The fairies go on a rampage because one of their own was attacked while helping out some students. And while this was all a ploy, I was glad that they were angry, because these things do happen in the real world and deserve the outcry. This episode also introduces Professor Crowa and her sorcery solution system that basically solves the lack of magic output. Starting here, the show now tries to find answers to the problems in the first half, such as the irrelevancy and restrictions of magic. How much does the world of magic need to change in order to survive becomes the ultimate question the show tries to answer, and how they go about it is what I'll be talking about in the next parts. Overall, I think what makes the setting of Little Witch special is, funnily enough, how unmagical it feels. It is set in today's modern era and has to deal with a lot of the problems that any business goes through. It's not like Hogwarts that is meant to be an escape from all that. But while I think that there are many bleak elements in this show, some that I still need to get into, The inclusion of them really enhances what the show is trying to convey, in that it is possible to succeed in your goals even in today's harsh economic landscape.